The question of alien contact and the UFO phenomena has been hotly debated for years. A concerted effort has been made to paint those that believe in the existence of life elsewhere in our galaxy and beyond as crazy oddballs locked in a basement, attributing every strange occurrence to the interference of aliens and the secret alliance with governments of the world. The truth could not be more different. The effort of government agencies to discredit the field of ufology has been immense. The coining of the phrase conspiracy theorist and the government debunkers' claims of people seeing nothing more than swamp gas has for years made most fearful of admitting that they believe. Disclosure has been what many have been calling for many years. This campaign offering some vindication to those that have joined the ever-increasing numbers of believers in extraterrestrials and their presence on our planet. Now, a former manager of the Department of Defense, amongst others, has stood up and confirmed UFOs are real.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. All systems up and burning. 2, 1, 0, and liftoff. The final liftoff of Atlantis. Shoulders of the space shuttle. America.
Welcome to IF, videos on mystery and history. Hit that subscribe button and ring that bell to never miss a video again. This month has seen the start of a program named to the Stars Academy of Arts and Science, or abbreviated to TTS/AAS. Tom DeLonge, former Blink-182 band member, heads the company that is planning to research unexplained phenomena and develop the related technology. This because he believes that governments have had access to alien technologies for decades and that these technologies could break the world free of its energy crisis. The use of greenhouse gas emitting fossil fuels could stop and the whole world would have access to free, clean energy. And I guess his company would make a tidy little profit due to the fact that DeLonge has aligned himself with the people that are said to have had access to this hidden technology and would most likely lead the development of its use around the planet. So who has Mr. DeLonge found that would reveal such a big secret, and what credentials do they boast? Those who spoke on the recent livestream from the company have ties to the military and secretive public companies. Luis Elizondo was a senior career intelligence officer. He served as the director for the National Program's Special Management Staff in the Office of the Secretary of Defense. He is also the former director of programs to investigate unidentified aerial threats for the Office of the Secretary of Defense. This man was the source which DeLonge has been talking about publicly for some time. He has appeared on many shows and in articles, but had always kept the identification of his whistleblower a secret. We now know that this was Elizondo. In fact, he is credited with the idea of starting the project. The day after he resigned from his position at the DoD, he approached the former rocker. He told him of the collection of unclassified data and documentation he had. This is the information that will be released through the Academy's online community of interest, in collaboration with the US government in the near future. These reports on the UFO phenomena classify them as non-threatening, with no records of hostilities. This seems odd, as I have read a lot of reports that state the opposite, and those that report being abducted, I think, would disagree also. Elizondo goes on to tell of his involvement with sensitive aerospace threat identification program, focusing on unidentified aerial technologies. He explained how this experience will be used with the new group. His job at TTS/AAS will be to work as a liaison and interlocutor in the collection of information for the science division, allowing the collection of facts for analysis. The former DoD employee then went on record with more proof of alien visitations, recounting the first-hand contact with these craft. He promised that the group has and will soon release clear video footage of UFOs. This video would not be the usually grainy distant clip shot by amateurs, but official government video with correlating data. That is something I am excited to see. Let's hope he is true to his word. The second man to speak was also a veteran of secretive programs, but differed from Elizondo, being more of an engineer. Stephen Justice was program director for advanced systems at Lockheed Martin, or as it is better known, Skunk Works. Anyone with an interest in UFOs knows about the infamous Skunk Works programs. They have given the world the most advanced planes and technologies for over 60 years. The SR-71 Blackbird, the stealth fighters and bombers, drones and more. Mr. Justice, wow, that would make a great superhero name, worked in these programs for over 30 years. He will take this experience and channel it into the project with the goal of providing advanced technologies to all. He claims that it will be possible to harvest this advanced technology and to build a vehicle that will allow for almost instantaneous travel through land, air, oceans and space. The third and final expert recruited by DeLonge is Chris Mellon. This man served as Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Intelligence for 2 administrations, and early in his career drafted the legislation that established the US Special Operations Command. He told those watching the livestream how he had seen interactions between military jets and UFOs during his time in the service. He recounted a story from 2004, telling how the aircraft carrier USS Nimitz detected on 2 separate radars an unidentified object. He said, 2 F-18s approach the object. The 4 aviators see the object has no wings or exhaust. It is white, oblong, and some 40 feet long and perhaps 12 foot thick. One pilot pursues the craft while his wingman stays high. The pilots are astonished to see the object suddenly reorientate itself towards the approaching F-18 in a series of discrete tumbling maneuvers that seem to defy the laws of physics. The object takes a position directly behind the approaching F-18. The lengthy event occurred in broad daylight off the California coast, and the gun camera footage was taken. At one point the object went from hovering at 80,000 feet to dropping at supersonic speeds and came to complete stop at 50 feet above the ocean. More F-18s are dispatched, but with similar results, Mellon stated. The secret machine easily evades the F-18s. Dozens of military personnel aboard the various planes and ships involved are privy to these interactions. DeLonge ended with a mission statement from the 4 men, saying, "No one person, one government, or one hidden institution should own this information and technology." I agree, this is beyond countries and governments. These questions have answers that should be heard by all of humanity. We must become unified globally. We are all earthlings, humanity, a collective species, a group that must work together for our own betterment, especially now that we know there are other entities out there. Luis Elizondo and others have confirmed that UFOs are real. They exist and they have been officially documented. Can anyone argue with this fact now, given where these men come from and what they know?
I would think that most of you that come to the channel are believers in aliens. I would love to know the numbers, so go ahead and cast your vote in the poll above. We spend a lot of time arguing our point with those that are not so convinced in extraterrestrial life. We often point them to links with amazing videos of UFOs, quote historical events, and some of us give examples of alien species said to be here or at least be visiting this little blue rock we call home. But sometimes the simplest question can reveal the truth, or at least make you rethink some of your previous ideas. Don't get me wrong, I'm firmly in the believers camp, but a great article I just read asked the simplest of questions. This article was written by Lewis Dartnell and looks at the different reasons as to why or why not extraterrestrials would want to come to our world, and it asks some great questions and gives some real good answers. Mr. Dartnell is an astrobiologist who has spent many an hour working away in his lab. He looks at extremophiles, creatures that live in the most inhospitable parts of our planet. This research is then used to theorize about life out in the furthest reaches of space. He does comment that he believes that the majority of life that is out there would be made up of these hardy microbial single-cell organisms, and is a skeptic when it comes to advanced alien civilizations. So, if you're a believer, that's all good. If you're not, put that to one side for the moment, and let's say there is at least one intergalactic advanced alien race out there. Why would, when they have the whole universe, they want to come to this piece of galactic real estate, especially when it's infested with a violent, dangerously technologically capable ape, humanity? One of the oldest theories, and one that has been adopted by many, with the legends of the Anunnaki, is for the very ape-like creatures I just mentioned, us. We could make a good slave race. We have enough intelligence to work complex machines, but still could be easily controlled. We could be put to work in the mines like the Anunnaki tales tell, or in almost any other capacity. We could become the galactic equivalent of the dark days of African slavery here on Earth. Our astrobiologist does, however, see a large flaw in the idea. As if the aliens were so advanced, robotics and AI would be available to them, and surely it would be easier to create and control and manage a workforce of machines rather than dealing with us and our emotions. Well, how's about sex? Sex slavery is a continual problem here with just our species. Can you imagine if we throw an alien race into the mix? They could be of the mindset that it is a purely practical event, reproduction, to access our DNA, crossbreeding to gain something from our genetic makeup which they may lack. For this to happen on the most fundamental level, an alien race would need to be compatible with us, not just somewhat physically, but also genetically. They would need not only the same polymer, deoxyribonucleic acid, as the storage molecule for their genetic information, but also the same 4 letters for their genetic alphabet. They would also need to have the same coding system for translating sequences of genetic letters into proteins, and the same organizational structure of DNA strands into chromosomes. This is one point where I feel he has missed the mark. Genetic engineering here on Earth is unlocking many secrets of gene editing, making cross-species DNA manipulation something we can now do almost easily. Our alien visitors, which we are hypothesizing are way in advance of us when it comes to other forms of technology, would also likely be just as advanced in genetic editing. Harvesting our genetic code would be easy and wouldn't need to be sexual. Many of alien abductees support this with their stories, reporting that the taking of biological samples occurs. Okay, so let's take this to an even more base level. Could we be an interstellar rest stop, somewhere for ET to stop, stretch their legs, and grab a snack, that snack being us? The question our scientist asks is whether an alien's biochemistry would be capable of digesting us. He explains how our cells are made up of various organic molecules, proteins, polymers of amino acids, nucleic acids, DNA and RNA, and membranes of phospholipids. We need to replace our genetic structure for our bodies to grow and repair themselves. We do this by taking in the basic building blocks from food sources such as animals and plants. Our digestive system breaks them down into their component amino acids, sugars and fatty acids, which we then use as our building blocks. An alien would need to be based on similar biochemistry and have the enzymes needed for processing the molecules we are built from to gain anything nutritionally from us. Also, you would have to ask, why us, when there is so much other life for them to feed on? Humanity makes up 0.01% of all life on this planet. There would be easier meals to be had. Okay, so if it's not the food they are after, how about a drink? We know that one thing we think of as a necessity for life to grow, and that's water. Could water be the resource that they covet? There is a problem with this idea as well. He states that there are a lot of far better sources of water in space, and that in fact, current models think that Earth first formed from a swirling disk of gas and dust around a proto-sun, and that young Earth was a pretty dry place. The water to fill our oceans was delivered much later by a barrage of comets and asteroids coming from the colder outer regions of the solar system. Europa, a moon which orbits Jupiter, contains more liquid in the global oceans beneath its frozen surface than our entire planet, and it would be a far better source of good old H2O. This is when his ideas begin to cross over heavily with the ideas held by those that believe in ancient aliens. He asks if they could come in search of raw materials, metals and minerals that could be used to construct their technology, or even elements which they give value to, similar to us with rare stones like diamonds. He says that this would be an irrational idea, as it will once again be far easier to mine these elements in space, gathering them from asteroid fields and unpopulated planets. There are many places with much more of an abundance of these materials. After all, this is why space mining is gathering a lot of attention on this planet. If we can get our hands on some of that loot from the solar system, it could drive down the costs of much of our technology, which often uses rare minerals for its circuits and batteries. Now we get to the simplest and possibly the most likely reason why they would come to Earth. The first being, they need a new home. Their planet has become uninhabitable for one of the many possible reasons, and now they have become refugees searching for a planet to begin again. Our planet is, after all, a very hospitable place for us. Maybe it would also be suitable for ET. Various features of the Earth beyond our warm oceans are thought to be crucial to maintaining a stable surface environment for large geological time periods. These include plate tectonics, regulating the climate, a large moon preventing the spin axis of the planet from wobbling too much, and a global magnetic field for deflecting aside the solar winds and preventing the atmosphere being blown away into space. Earth is something of a rarity and could, for these reasons, be a target for our alien colonization. But yet again, this is something that would not be a concern to an advanced alien race. They would have mastered all aspects of geoengineering and mega engineering and would most likely be able to build themselves out of any hole they had dug themselves into. This including building an artificial planet for them to call home. This planet could also double as a ship, flying around the universe, gobbling up resources like a mega-sized Pac-Man. So this brings us to the reason many believe, and the simplest of all our reasons. They come to meet us. Dartnell says, "To my mind then, the enormous amounts of time and energy that are likely to be necessary for travel between the stars in a galaxy, and the fact that raw materials can be sought elsewhere more practically, would rule out aliens coming to the Earth simply to take something we have. I think we can safely rest assured that even if intelligent alien species do exist in our galaxy, they are not about to appear in our skies with an invasion fleet to subjugate humanity and begin stripping our world. Perhaps the thing that may attract extraterrestrials to Earth is us. I suspect that if aliens did come to Earth, it would be as researchers, biologists, anthropologists, linguists, keen to understand the peculiar workings of life on Earth, to meet humanity and none of our art, music, culture, languages, philosophies, and religions. And this is where we agree. I think that is what is happening, and not only are they observing, they are also shaping our culture, so one day we may become like them, a species capable of traveling the stars, learning, growing, free from the greed which consumes us now, the abundance of resources in space quenching our ever-present thirst for more. Do you think we have been visited? Why did they visit? And will we one day become like them, an advanced race capable of solving almost all problems, and like Star Trek, set off on a journey of discovery?
The recent appearance of Bob Lazar on the Joe Rogan channel has seemed to have reignited public interest in the field of ufology. One of the questions asked to Bob was why, if we have access to such advanced technology, are we not seeing aircraft with the abilities the same as those attributed to UFOs? Bob's answer was that the technology is being suppressed. This suppression of technology will not last, he insisted. And if you watch the documentary Lazar was promoting, you may come to the conclusion that this is because Bob has something in his possession that would prove his story very true, this forcing the secret government agencies to release what they know. If you know the story of Bob Lazar, you also know about element 115. This element was said to be the power source for the extraterrestrial craft that Bob Lazar claims to have worked on. It may also provide us with a reason why this kind of technology is being suppressed. There are those that say the UFO and alien phenomena is being covered up because free energy would ruin the oil industry. Stephen Greer has long said the existence of extraterrestrials is actively being covered up due to the thought that any new technologies that were introduced to our society would ruin the fossil fuel industries and in turn collapse the world economic model. For this reason, corrupt world leaders are said to be sitting on alien technology and keeping it from public knowledge, all so that they can continue to profit instead of allowing the world to have a means to provide cost-free, renewable energy. The reason this secret is being kept may span more than greed. Free energy would unsettle the current power dynamic between nations and would also see society having to adjust the way in which products and services are valued. Currently, the cost of purchasing a service or a product can go back to the cost of the materials and the energy used. If alternative energy is produced from alien technology, trillions of dollars invested in oil, gas, and other public utilities will be worthless. The world capitalist system could collapse if people were able to generate power and electricity for free. The introduction of technology that changes the global power and economic structure could also lead to conflict. Would the governments or countries who had contact with aliens share what they had learned? Could this see alliances being formed over the access to extraterrestrial technology? These are just a few of the questions we would need to address. Getting back to Dr. Greer, he has been working for a long time attempting to expose the truth about aliens. You can hear his thoughts in an interview with uninterview.com. Dr. Greer has long been a prominent figure among those that are calling for disclosure. The government should let the public have access to the files they have kept hidden. This could put an end to the speculation and give the public peace of mind. That is, if they are being honest and there really is nothing otherworldly going on. If they have been hiding this for decades, then the outcome may well be very different. The distrust of the government would be a little more justified. Greer spoke about this, saying, if along with disclosure of intelligent life, you're going to have the most disruptive technology in all of history come out, this becomes a big macroeconomic issue, and that is what the security is partially rooted in. I began to realize that there were people inside government that know about these projects, and there are people inside who do not know. And it has nothing to do with your rank. It doesn't matter if you are the president. It doesn't matter if you're the CIA director. It only matters if the bureaucracy feels like you are going to go along with the agenda and keep this secret. This free energy technology being that which has been taken from or developed after alien tech could see a more equal world, but this is why they, a shadowy cabal said to pull the strings behind global politics, pick a group, Illuminati, Bilderberg, or even NASA, need to keep the secret. The free energy conspiracy theory focuses on the claims that government scientists have created usable technologies which can produce free energy. These include the ever-elusive perpetual motion machines and the sci-fi staple of cold fusion generators. Other methods have been developed which can extract usable power from unconventional energy sources, things like quantum vacuum zero-point energy. This new invention creating energy for little to no cost. The conspiracies say that anyone trying to promote these systems has been silenced, many scientists and engineers being killed before they could go public with their secrets. There is also the effect that these technologies would have on the constant global arms race. We have long had the threat of nuclear war, and at the height of the Cold War, mutually assured destruction. What weapons could these new energy production methods spawn? There are those that say these weapons have already been built, and that electromagnetic weaponry has been built by the US, and that they are desperately trying to keep this a secret and hold on to their global influence. If a treaty was negotiated between the alien visitors and the major governments found on Earth, such a pact might allow the present power hierarchies to continue to operate, with some new limitations and guidelines of course, while at the same time essentially doing the work that they've been assigned by ETs. It seems incredible that the fate of all humanity may already have been decided, and that this was done without our knowledge or consent. censorship and top secret classification of sensitive information, keeping the public in the dark. Stanton Friedman, UFO researcher and nuclear physicist, publicly stated that whoever controls alien technology rules the world. Dr. Greer lays the whole theory out in the documentary Unacknowledged. Maybe when you are finished watching the new Bob Lazar documentary, you can watch Dr. Greer's. Both are available on Netflix. Ufology has become a mainstream subject these days, and the news keeps rolling in. Some of what we are now hearing illustrates the extent of the cover-up of information in regards to UFOs and the principles on which they operate. The disclosure movement seems to be building in momentum. Could this lead to the release of all the information that governments have hidden? Could this information reveal the technologies that would free humanity from the constraints of an energy for money based economic system? Will we get to see a world where all nations and peoples have equal access to energy at no cost? Will this lead us into a future when humanity unites, knowing that we are not alone in the universe? I hope so. I think just about everyone with an interest in the world of the UFO phenomena has seen or at least heard of the alien autopsy video. Created by Rob Waugh, the film has been seen some 12 million times, but the film's makers has recently stepped out to reveal the truth behind the famous hoax. For those that have not seen it, the short film contains very realistic images of an autopsy, which looks as if it is being carried out by pathologists from a government agency. They are even dressed in the correct hazmat suits for the time. The film's maker, a former magician, has now stepped from the shadows to tell the story. He has seen the events made into a movie and screened on many TV shows, and it is easily found across the internet. He now wants the world to know how he had fooled so many for so long. Talking about the alien creatures seen on the video, he explains how he had a foam body created and then filled it with organs he had obtained from a local butcher's shop. The hoaxer had experimented with different substances to see which would look most authentic on film. He even went as far as to try different types of jams to get the best look for when the alien's brain is examined. The film was shot in his London apartment, where once he had completed filming, he spliced his footage into a 1947 Pathé newsreel. This was an ingenious move and fooled film experts from companies like Kodak. Many news outlets went on to show the video, appearing on media giants like the BBC and Fox. This meant the hoax reached over 11.7 million people. If this video is known to be a fake, this would make for a good diversion by those in governments who wish to perpetuate the myth that extraterrestrials are not real. Or maybe that's just the conspiracy part of my brain kicking in. The video is said to be based on elements of truth in order to give it more credibility in the eyes of the UFO community and the world as a whole. The video suggests that it is linked to events such as Roswell and that it is part of Project Blue Book. Ray Santilli claimed to be a cameraman that received the video from a former employee of Area 51. But the whole thing was a clever fake, which used well-sourced props and very good alien corpse dummies. The truth is that it was made on a slim budget in a small London flat by a group of friends thinking the idea was a hoot. They had no idea it would be taken so seriously and grow so big. The project only took them 10 days to complete, but has now been in the public eye for more than 22 years. A book is in the works which will tell all on how they made the video and created such amazing effects, especially for the time, an age before computer manipulation of images. Today, if a group decided to pull the same stunt, it would be far easier, and we often do see some crude attempts surface on the internet. The technology now exists that could make a digital image perfect and utterly believable. We can see this idea coming into play today. China has just revealed to the world a new AI newsreader. Its appearance, movements and gestures are almost impossible to tell apart from a real person. China's state news agency, Xinhua, introduced the newest member of its newsroom, who will report tirelessly all day, every day, from anywhere in the country, and will obviously have no problem reporting untruths and propaganda on behalf of those that program it. This artificial anchor is named Hui Hao. The anchor is seen wearing a red tie and a pinstripe suit. All can be easily changed with a click of a mouse. He nods his head in emphasis, blinking, and raising his eyebrows slightly. Xinhua also showed off an English-speaking AI based on another presenter who added, "The development of the media industry calls for continuous innovation and deep integration with the international advanced technologies. I look forward to bringing you brand new experiences." These anchors were developed through machine learning to simulate the voice, facial movements and gestures of real-life broadcasters to present an image that would be identical to an actual person on film, but opens up a can of worms and questions. Why do we need this? Why choose news anchors? Who gets to program what is said? China is giving us a sneak peek of what is coming in our future. Recently, at a conference in Wuhan, southern China, those in attendance saw their photos flash up on a screen as soon as they passed through security checkpoints. Facial recognition technology scanning everyone entering the event in real time. Companies have been discussing cooperating with law enforcement, providing information for negligent citizens to be put on a social credit blacklist. We have all become targeted individuals, a topic you can learn more about in the video linked above. This dystopian future is almost a certainty with our current dependence on digital media. Older analog technologies and images could protect us from these digital manipulations. It is considerably harder to fake physical film, and this is the reason I tend to look more at older film and photos to prove that we are being visited by entities from outer space. There have been attempts to pull the wool over people's eyes in the past, and these were quickly revealed to be hoaxes. A 1949 science fiction movie, The Flying Saucer, purported to contain scenes of a captured spacecraft. An actor actually posed as an FBI agent and swore the claim was true. Fake. In 1950, writer Frank Scully reported in his book Behind the Flying Saucers that the US government possessed no fewer than 3 Venusian spaceships, together with their humanoid corpses. Scully had been fed the tale by 2 conmen who had hoped to sell him a petroleum locating device allegedly based on alien technology. Fake. In 1974, Robert Spencer Carr began to promote one of the crashes from the Scully book and to claim first-hand knowledge of where the preserved aliens were stored. But, as the late claimant's son admitted, Carr was a spinner of yarns who made up the entire story. Fake. In 1987, the author of the book on the Roswell crash released the notorious MJ-12 documents, which seemed to prove the crash retrieval story and high-level government cover-up. Unfortunately, document experts quickly exposed these papers as forgeries. Fake. And in 1990, Gerald Anderson claimed that he and other family members had been hunting rocks in New Mexico desert in 1947 when they happened upon a crash saucer with injured aliens found among the still burning wreckage. Anderson released a diary his uncle had kept that recorded the event. Alas, forensic tests showed that the ink used to write their entries had not been manufactured until 1974. Bringing us full circle back to the alien autopsy hoax we started with. The alien autopsy hoax represented the culmination of several years' worth of rumors, myths, and outright deceptions. If these hoaxes were good enough to fool people, we must be extra vigilant today and in the future. The advent of digital media, and now its open manipulation, should have us questioning almost everything we see. Do you think this creation of AI anchors is a good idea? Do you believe in the alien autopsy video and that it was used to cover up a real video? Where do you think digital manipulation of video will lead? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy what we do here on the channel, hit that like button and maybe give it a share. You can catch the latest on social media by searching We Are If. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.